Hello everyone, welcome back to the IAS Network Mains lecture series for internal security. Till now, we have covered numerous issues including your border disputes, social media, cyber security, money laundering, etc. Today, through this lecture, we are going to discover what are the various issues lying in the northeast region of India and how they are creating challenges for the internal security environment of India. So let's begin with this lecture. So as we all know, our northeast region is particularly an underdeveloped region in comparison to the mainland India, and its location is in a peculiar fashion where it is surrounded by numerous border sharing nations. So almost all the northeast states share their border with some or the other international country, which creates unique challenges for the northeast region's development in itself, as we have seen through the last lecture in the border related issues. Now, as you can see from this hand drawn map, that this is a rough representation of the northeast region in India. So this kind of a map could be used in your answers as well in order to depict some phenomena related to the northeast region. As we can see that there are four major neighbors with whom we share our boundaries when it comes to northeast India. One is your Bhutan, another is your China, third being Myanmar, and fourth being Bangladesh. So various states share boundaries with one or more than one neighboring nations when it comes to the northeast. When we consider the northeast as a whole, we are talking about 7 sister states as well as your state of Sikkim. So one of the very peculiar region in this northeast region is basically your Chicken Neck Corridor, which is even shown in your diagram, which is a very narrow strip of 21 kilometers that connects our India's heartland or the mainland to the northeast. So basically this is the only way within our international borders where we can travel from the mainland to the northeast. So, and this region is basically surrounded by 3 major countries, which includes Bangladesh, Nepal as well as Bhutan. So it's surrounded by 3 neighboring countries and the passage is a very small one. So in case any of the countries is able to cut this or take this region under their control, so basically they would be able to sever our links with our northeast region, which puts this region in a very difficult domain geographically, because it creates a lot of vulnerabilities for the Indian internal security point of view, as well as it makes it tough for the Indian transportation, Indian infrastructure, Indian personnel to reach the northeast, because the geography is such that it constrains the movement of large amount of infrastructure or manpower to these regions. So the geography in itself is a peculiar one in the northeast, which creates some issues. So let's try and look at few key characteristics of our northeast region. So the characteristics of the northeast region, as we have discussed, that it is sharing boundaries with multiple neighboring countries. Apart from that, it accounts for roughly 7.6% of the land area of India. Having said that, it has only 3.6% of India's population. So the population density in the northeast region is quite less. And as we had discussed in the last lecture as well, that the population density or the forest density in this region is very, very high. So every northeast state has more than 75% of its area under the forest cover. So thus creating challenges in terms of that people are living in hamlets. So they are not living in city kind of constructions, or as we see in the let's say northern plains or South India, where we have urbanized kind of a setup. So the setup is quite different. The population settlements are quite different, which creates unique challenges for the development as well as movement of security personnel, etc. Then we have more than 475 ethnic groups with over 400 languages or dialects being spoken in the northeast region itself, which shows that there is an immense amount of ethnic religious diversity in this region, which creates issues, demands of its own. So So we need to appreciate that the fact that Northeast region have its own unique properties which create some challenges as well as is a source of the unique identity of the Northeast region. So we need to basically appreciate that fact and take that into consideration when dealing with these issues. So we need to appreciate their ethnic as well as linguistic diversity. Similarly, we need to take cognizance of the geographical constraints that we have in the region. So this is a basic understanding of about the Northeast region. Now let's try and look at few of the examples of various internal security issues or threats that have been created in the Northeast region over the last 5 to 6 decades. So since our independence, there have been few issues prevalent in the Northeast region. Few have been resolved amicably, however few are still lingering on. So we need to first try and understand, let's try and look at few examples where the internal security was under threat or is currently under threat in the Northeast region. So the first insurgent group, the first such movement began in the Northeast in the state of Nagaland. So earlier Nagaland was not a separate state, it was created later on. So in the initial years of our independence itself, as soon as 1951, so there was a Nagaland National Council that was formed, which had an agenda of attaining autonomy through militant means. So this was the first organization that was set up with the aim of creating something known as Greater Nagalim. Greater Nagalim is basically I would say the supra state. Supra state means collection of a region which contains some regions from different states. So the Greater Nagalim had some regions from Manipur, some regions from the current state of Nagaland, some regions from Assam, some regions from Meghalaya. So it was something like a supra state entity that was being envisaged by the Naga National Council as soon as in the 1950s. Similarly, there was another insurgent group in the form of Mizo National Front. So Mizo National Front was operating in the 1960s, and it was targeting the independence of Mizoram in 1966. You must be aware of another movement in the Northeast which was currently in news as well, which led, and we discussed it in the previous lectures as well, that it was run for the basically against the illegal immigration that was taking place in Assam. So it was aimed at deportation of these illegal migrants, and it was led by ASU as well as a faction of ULFA. ULFA is basically the full form of ULFA was United Liberation Front of Assam in the later 1970s or the early 1980s. So this was a body which was operational in the erstwhile state of Assam, which was basically consisting of part of pretty much all the 7 sister states. They have come up by partition of Assam into several different parts. Yet another insurgent group targeting specific regions, autonomy of separate regions and creation of a new state of Bodoland was the Bodo Liberation Tigers and the National Democratic Front of Bodoland. So these were targeting a separate state to be carved out for the Bodo people out of the state of Assam. So these are the example of few insurgent groups, few bodies that were active in the Northeast region, which were creating some internal security threats for the country. So we need to take into consideration that until and unless their demands are genuine as well as they're using constitutional means, there is no issues in terms of people raising their demands for creation of separate states, granting of more autonomy, etc. Because these are constitutional demands which are permitted by our constitution. However, the means that are used for raising these demands is the point of contention. So if they are resorting to violence, disruption of state machinery, so these would not be tolerated, because the constitutional demands must be raised by constitutional means. It should not be that people are resorting to extra constitutional violent means in order to further their interests. So in case a question comes related to the Northeast scenario, Northeast internal security threats, you can very easily quote these examples in order to substantiate that your point that few issues are still lingering on. For example, the Naga Peace Accord has not been properly implemented even till now. Similarly, your the Assam Accord, which was signed in 1985, it's still to be properly implemented, and due to that only the NRC issue was taken up by the Supreme Court, because the Assam Accord has not been implemented in letter and spirit. So these issues, so whenever there comes an issue, you can quote these examples and show that these issues are still relevant, still creating issues for our internal security. So this gives you an overview of the what is the peculiar characteristics of the Northeast region. Secondly, we discussed few of the examples that are related to the bodies which are active in the Northeast, which are creating some ruckus or trying to change the status quo on the ground using some extra constitutional means. Now let's try and look at what is the importance of this Northeast region, because it's one of the region that is quite neglected when it comes to our development cycle. India is a land of, I would say, it's a we have islands of development among the ocean of underdevelopment. However, these Northeast region are islands of underdevelopment within that whole pool of underdevelopment as well, because these have stark underdevelopment. Reason being, these are not getting the attention that they deserve. However, let's first understand what is the importance of this region, why it should be focused upon. So the most important reason as to why the Northeast region should get sufficient attention is that, first of all, the mandate of the social contract. The people of the Northeast region are Indian citizens, so they are entitled to all basic rights that any person living in the mainland is enjoying. So thus they have the right to proper livelihood, they have the right to basic amenities, they have right to life and dignity. So we need to prioritize, we need to basically deliver on our promises of welfare, of a welfare state, to even the farthest person living in our country, be it in the Northeast or be it anywhere. So first of all, the biggest reason why there needs to be a focus on the Northeast region is our social mandate, the social contracts mandate. Secondly, we have embarked upon the process of nation building. So nation integration is another importance, because till now the Northeast region has not been mainstreamed into our economy, into our society. Still there is, I would say, a disconnect between the Northeast region and the mainland India in terms of people's knowledge about the Northeast region, the amount of interaction that they have, the amount of economic contribution that the Northeast region makes to the Indian economy, and the availability of services, availability of manpower from mainland to the Northeast India. So the national integration is one of the important reason why we need to focus on the Northeast. We need to bring them into the mainstream. Then another importance of the Northeast region is it can further our trade relations with the Southeast Asian nations. It can lead to the development of the ties between us and our neighboring states. If we are able to develop our Northeast region, we would be able to basically have better relations with China, with Myanmar, with Bhutan, with Bangladesh. So we can substantially up our game in terms of bilateral relations if we are able to develop a strong infrastructural network in the Northeast region. Similarly, it can give a significant boost to our Act East policy, which is targeted at the Southeast Asian nations. So it can create a linkage between Indian people as well as the ASEAN countries, be it in terms of economy, be it in terms of social connections, etc. So that is the importance of Northeast region. So we need to realize that the Northeast region is not a backward region. It is a backward region due to lack of importance given to it. If we give proper importance to it, it can reap significant results, and thus it is imperative for us to have significant investment in the Northeast region, which would go a long way in order to resolve the issues as well of internal security in the region. So followed with this, we'll try and look at what are the issues that are leading to the situation in the northeast region. So you must understand that the causes and the issues created by the internal security threats in the northeast region are basically feeding into each other. So basically, if I say that the cause of insurgency is the lack of development in the northeast region, if the northeast region is not developed, that's why people are resorting to insurgency, as they do not have, as their demands are not being met. However, if I say the other way around, that due to the internal security situation, due to the insurgency, the subsequent steps taken by the government in order to develop that region as well are not taking place, this would also not be wrong. Reason being, for example, if Indian government brings up a project to develop, let's say, a oil field in Assam. However, if the implementation of that project is stalled by the insurgent groups, then it is basically leading to lack of development in that region, which is reinforcing the issue of insurgency itself, because it was leading due to underdevelopment. But so ideally these groups have come up to bridge or raise the demand of the people in order to bring development. However, their actions are in turn reversing this process of development. So you need to understand that the issues being created by the northeast insurgency and the causes leading to this insurgency are basically in a feedback loop. So they are pretty much the same. So which are basically leading to a chicken egg problem when it comes to this region. So we need to break this loop. So for breaking this loop, we need to make some systematic interventions at all levels in order to break this cycle of a vicious cycle that has been created. So now let's try and look at the causes or issues being created by the northeast insurgent or internal security issues. So first of all, let's try and look at the development segment itself. So there are numerous causes. Development is a umbrella term which includes the development of a rise in the human capital, natural resources, social capital. So it encompasses all these components. Or economic development as well. It has the fourfold rise in the capital, be it human capital, natural capital, social capital, or economic capital. So the lack of development, the lack of all these four components in the form that human resources have not been developed properly due to the lack of education, or I would say quality education, along with lack of proper healthcare facilities in the northeast region. If you go to the northeast, for example, I have been to Meghalaya, you would not find multi-speciality hospitals that you are very familiar with when it comes to Delhi or let's say Gurgaon or these kind of metropolitan cities. That kind of infrastructure, that kind of healthcare facilities is not prevalent in the northeast region, which lead to many people dying due to even not so severe diseases, because they do not get proper treatment. And even in order to have that treatment, they might require to be traveling a long distance in order to avail those facilities. So one is the lack of human development. Similarly, the second is the lack of natural resource development. So as we all know, the northeast region is quite rich in natural resources, be it your forest produce, be it your biodiversity, be it your natural resources in terms of coal, oil. So it is a natural resource rich region. However, the resources have not been, I would say, developed properly. They have not been channelized properly in terms of it. Either few resources have not been profitably extracted, and there has not been proper integration of the local people into that process. For example, local employment has not been properly generated for the natural resource industries, and in many cases, even when the natural resources are being properly utilized, they have been exploited. So the development in the true sense of the natural resources, of the natural capital, has not taken place in the northeast region. Then comes to the social development. Social development in the sense that the social harmony, the social connections that these people have, the ethnic relations, the linguistic relations that the people have not been appreciated adequately. the state boundaries, the international boundaries that have been created in this region have not taken cognizance of the ground realities in terms of ethnicity, linguistics, religion, etc. And the boundaries have created some differences among the people, which is even exemplified by the illegal immigration, which is leading to threats to their social identity. So that has also significantly upped the game when it comes to giving voices to the insurgent groups. Similarly, the economic development. If you see the contribution of the northeast states to the mainland economy, it would be it is a very insignificant number when it comes to, and the various industries which could have been the natural win points for the northeast, be it tourism, be it your natural resources industry, be it your horticulture, they have not been able to flourish due to the lack of investment into the region, as well as the disruptive situation that has been created by these various natural various insurgent groups, leading to lack of economy, lack of investment being made by even the private sector, if not only by the public sector in this region. So development, the lack of development is one of the major reasons behind the situation that is there in the northeast. Apart from these development issues, there are some international reasons for the internal security threats in the region. So one of the major reasons is the immigration, illegal immigration to be precise. Illegal immigration is a major irritant, be it in terms of relation with any of the northeast states, because immigration leads to multiple issues. One is the lack of local employment due to immigration. The jobs are lost to illegal immigrants. So secondly, it leads to change in the demography of the region. If a person is staying in a state for, let's say, last 2-3 generations without proper legal documents, now he might even have got some legal documents claiming that he is a citizen of India based on his residence over there, be it in terms of they might have owned some land in that region, etc. So this creates some demographic issues as well, which might lead to some political implications in terms of the change in the voting dynamics, etc., etc. So international reason in the form of illegal immigration, so thus leading to people getting alienated because their cultural identities, their interests are not being adequately represented. They are being sabotaged by the illegal immigrants. Similarly, these insurgent groups in the northeast have got support, be it in terms of funds, be it in terms of arms, be it in terms of ideology, from the international players as well. As we have discussed in the previous lectures as well, that China, other insurgent groups in other countries are supporting these groups in India in the following ways, be it in the funding mechanism, be it ideologically, etc. So the international reasons for the rise of insurgency or internal security threats in the northeast are your international as well, along with the development issues. Apart from that, let's try and look at the security challenges, security issues that are causes as well as issues that are being created for the security forces. So as you must be aware that there is something known as AFSPA. AFSPA is the Armed Forces Special Power Act that was passed by the Parliament in order to grant some special powers to the forces in the region in order to tackle with this insurgency kind of a condition. However, it was definitely created with an intention to tackle this menace of insurgency in the northeast. And undeniably, the situation on the ground might warrant that some special powers might be given to the forces in order to tackle with that kind of a situation. However, there has been multiple human rights violation allegations against the armed forces personnel, be it including murder, rape, etc. So these have further alienated the people because they now feel that the Indian state is acting as a, I would say, big brother on them, and basically not appreciating their interests, not appreciating their demands, and using a hard hand in order to tackle the situation. Similarly, due to the lack of local support for the armed forces, because the people are alienated due to the hard hand politics, so it is leading to a situation of limited intelligence being available with the security forces in order to tackle with this situation. And in terms of any militant insurgent group, in order to tackle these kind of situations, the very important segment is the ground level intelligence, because that using that only you would be able to tackle these forces in the guerrilla warfare tactics that they deploy. So these are the three major heads where under which we can understand the reasons as well as the causes or the issues being created. Similarly, on all these fronts, the issues are being created. For example, your development is not taking place. Your various projects that are targeting human development, be it natural development, be it your social development, or be it economical development, all of them are being stalled. For example, your schools are not able to function properly because teachers are not comfortable with coming to a region where you have insurgency going on, and there are frequent curfews, frequent shutdowns of schools, which hamper your human resource development. Similarly, the natural resource exploitation, or I would say development projects, are being stalled. Your railways, your road construction is being stalled by the various insurgent groups. Similarly, if different insurgent groups try to channelize the demands of their support segment, then it leads to creation of conflicting demands as well, which leads to the erosion of social capital as well. Similarly, these kind of situation is also creating issues for the security personnel, be it in terms of our armed forces losing their lives while battling these insurgent groups, or be it their tough living standards, tough operation standards when it comes to these areas. These lack of local support is even creating issues in terms of getting intelligence, gathering those content, and even any kind of human right violation, illegal allegations against the armed forces is leading to depreciation of the Indian clout in the international domain as well. And various countries like Pakistan, etc., are forwarding these allegations against India at the international forum as well. So this gives you an overall understanding of what are the causes behind the insurgency and the internal security threats in the Northeast region, and what are the basic issues that are being created due to these internal security threats. Now we'll look at what are the suggestions, how we can improve this scenario in the Northeast region. So in dealing with this situation, we need to look at the solution from the three angles, be it in terms of your border management, so as to reduce the international influence, because one of the major reasons for your internal security issues in the Northeast region was the international influence. So we need to have proper border management as well as few international cooperative initiations in order to deal with that international threat. Similarly, when it comes to the development, we need to have some interventions at the development stage as well, because lack of development was an important issue which was leading an important cause leading to the problem. So we need to make development interventions in all the dimensions, be it in economic terms, be it in social terms, be it in natural capital terms, be it in human development terms. Similarly, we need to make some security interventions as well in order to deal with the security issues that we were facing. So let's try and look at these issues one by one. So first, let's try and look at the border management issue. So border management, there were two major issues. One was your cooperation that these insurgent groups were getting from the international players. So we need to up our game when it comes to ideological support that they are getting. So we need to tackle it through diplomacy and get the international players on board, find a common ground, find a common interest where we have better or friendly relations with our neighbors, and they prevent their territory from being used against India. So one would be diplomatic efforts. Second, in order to tackle with the illegal immigration issues, so we need to first of all implement in letter and spirit our Assam Accord, be it through NRC, be it through NPR or any other mechanism. We need to first of all very diligently delineate who is an Indian citizen, who is not an Indian citizen, and have a robust border management mechanism would include a proper integrated check post mechanism, proper documented entry and exit of the people from Indian territory. So we need to have a proper mechanism so that we can ascertain who have entered into India illegally, and we should, through mediation, through international cooperation, we need to find out a mechanism to deport those people to their native countries. Apart from that, in the future, we need to provide work permits to the people who want to work in India. For example, if we are able to give proper work permits to Bangladeshi people who want to avail the benefits of the economic development in India and work within Indian borders, so we need to provide them work permits in order to have a proper governance of the people who are entering the Indian borders, and for how much purpose and in what capacity they would be utilizing Indian resources. So the border management has these kind of dimensions when it comes to suggestions in order to resolve the issues creating the northeast situations. Now let's try and look at the governance front. What all can be done at the governance front? So in order to bring development, governance, in the field of governance, we need to make some significant changes. Now one is, if we need to provide more autonomy to the autonomous district councils that they are there in the northeast region, which are advocated by the 6th schedule of the Indian constitution. So the autonomy should be given in letter and spirit. Most of the issues, most of the demands of the northeast region people could be solved by giving greater autonomy to these autonomous district councils, where they have even legislative, executive as well as judicial powers under their ambit to a certain degree. So that would be able to resolve their local grievances as per their customs, as per their practices, so which would result in better creation of atmosphere of trust in that region. Similarly, in order to up the game in terms of human resource, there needs to be significant investment in the northeast region, be it in terms of physical infrastructure or be it in terms of digital infrastructure, so that the northeast region students are able to leverage the courses, the teachers that are the best in class material that is available to the mainland India. So we need to we can use multiple technologies. If laying down internet cables is not, or optical fiber network is not very feasible given the insurgency kind of a situation in that region, we can use satellite communication in order to attain our objectives of providing quality education to the people. Similarly, there needs to be special infrastructure packages given to the northeast states, so as to, or we can have designated special economic zones being created in the northeast region, say in a region sharing boundaries with the neighboring state of Bangladesh. So this would up the game in terms of private as well as public investment in the region, which would go a significant way in terms of increasing the economic integration of the northeast region with the mainland country, as well as increase its development machinery. It would fasten the movement of the development machinery. So these three would tackle majority of the issues on ground. Followed with, we need to make some systematic changes as well as customize them with respect to the northeast region. So we need to bring some changes in the land use pattern of the northeast states, as most of the region is under forestry, under the forest cover. So we need to prioritize the minor forest produce that these communities can avail from these forests and trying to marketize that. We can provide geographical indicators to the products being produced from these region. Similarly, we need to encourage tourism in the northeast region, be it intra-northeast tourism, be it inter-tourism. So we need to support that. In order to do that, if the infrastructure and everything is good, it would automatically lead to the increase in the tourism. Or we can have specialized portals, specialized awareness campaigns regarding the various tourism locations in the northeast, so as to increase the interest of the people in the mainland to travel to the northeast. So these all steps could be taken on the development front to increase the economic integration, human integration on the ground level. Now let's try and look at the security interventions that we need to make. So first of all, there needs to be greater power to the personals on the ground to deal the situation in both ways. If the people are abjuring violence, then it should be tackled through political means. In case people are not abjuring violence, then the special powers needs to be brought into force, basically to handle the situation and create a conducive environment for peaceful talks. So the powers needs to be properly channelized. Then the law such as AFSPA needs to be amended in order to provide some I would say grievance mechanism or some safety checks in order to prevent any kind of exploitation of the local people. So there needs to be inherent checks in the laws so that these laws which have been created for with the positive intentions do not result into negative consequences. So that is very important. So there might be a requirement for substantial amendment of the AFSPA. Then we need to have a good surveillance network on the ground, be it using satellites, radar imaging or local intelligence. So we need to create an atmosphere of public trust which would lead to a proper intelligence gathering mechanism using and integrating all our resources, be it in terms of human resource, be it in terms of all possible technologies that we have available. We need to integrate our intelligence and create a strong surveillance network so that these insurgent groups are not able to use their guerrilla warfare tactics in order to prolong this menace of insurgency in the northeast for any longer. Apart from this, one major suggestion in the security front would be that the proper due diligence as well as background check should be done of these insurgent groups in order to identify their ideological support, as well as before taking any steps in terms of ceasefire agreements with them, because that would ensure that we are not just prolonging this issue by creating ceasefire violation which might be violated after some point of time by these insurgent groups. So there needs to be proper background check of these insurgent groups in terms of identifying what are their true ideologies, and we need to create some change agents on the ground within these insurgent groups so that a local base for change is created among the people. So with these systematic interventions, be it in terms of development front, border management front, as well as security front, if we take all these steps in a whole, then we would be able to deal with this situation of insurgency in the northeast in a significant manner, and we would be able to integrate the people of northeast India into the mainstream, which lies at the core of the solution, because the problem also is arising due to the lack of governance in the region. So with this, we have concluded the northeast region. So we need to understand, through this lecture we understood what is the importance of the northeast region, what are its few characteristics, we understood that how a map could be used in the answer. Similarly, we discussed some examples, various insurgent groups that have been active in the northeast with different kind of demands, be it for autonomy, be it for a separate state, be it for a separate nation. And then we looked at what are the various issues and causes leading to this kind of a situation, followed with which we understood what are the different steps that can be taken at different levels in order to resolve this issue. So that would be all from this lecture. If you like our video, please share it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.